Right, and welcome to our podcast. So we are the Tandis, and we are embarking on a new journey of getting into podcasting. And we've got our first guest with us, and we're going to let her introduce herself. But just to say who we are the Tandis, and we've got our channel on YouTube called The Tandis Living the Good Life. So. Um, do you want to say something, Mr. Tandy? You're very
No, I'm
quiet
all right.
there.
I'm all right. My name is Mr. Tandy, and this is Mrs. Tandy.
Okay,
I'm a,
so
I'm a quiet man.
you're a quiet man. Yes, he is a quiet man. So I'm going to let our guest introduce herself. But before she does, I'll tell you what we're going to be doing today. So today we want to discuss the lessons learned from Mr. Augustine Makechemu of Ruwa Organics. He was featured on Kelvin Biriot's show. He was also on Wodemaya's YouTube channel. So he's a gentleman who relocated to Zimbabwe a year ago. And then we had the opportunity to catch up with him to find out about how things are going. So, yeah, that's what we're going to be talking about, the lessons learned from his relocation. So, retired procrastinator, can you please introduce yourself to our listeners and viewers?
Okay, thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Tandy, for having me as your first guest. So, my name is, I'm just going to use my name that I use on the socials. That's Retired Procrastinator. That's on Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok for now. And I am passionate actually about entrepreneurship in Zimbabwe, specifically so for entrepreneurship for those in the diaspora that are planning to relocate back home. Essentially, that's it.
Okay, so we are very happy to have you as our first guest. And relocation for us is something that we are very passionate about as people who've lived in the diaspora for like over 21 years. So we're looking to return back home to Zimbabwe. And that's what we are going to be mainly discussing on this channel. So, Mr. Augustine Makechemu, beg your pardon. Makechemu of Ruwa Organics. So we first saw this gentleman on Wodemaya. So did you guys watch the episode where he was on Wodemaya?
Yes, I did. I did watch that one.
And what did you think?
He sounded like somebody who had a plan. He sounded very excited to be going back to Zim. Well, that's the way I saw him. And he was explaining things as if he had already made it into whatever he was talking about. That's how he came across on Wademaya's channel.
Mm.
I don't know about you. How did
I
you see
did.
the guy? How did he come across?
I did watch on Word Maya as well as on Kevin's channel as well, and for sure, like what appeared on Word Maya and what then appeared on Kevin is like two completely different worlds. But I would say on Word Maya's episode, I really felt inspired because, to be honest, at that time I hadn't relocated from Sim. So I was like, wow, I'm gonna go to the diaspora and then I'm gonna this person is living my dream actually. Like I want to go get some capital and come back. But unlike him, I didn't want to be gone for 20 years. I still don't want to be gone beyond 5 years. So yeah, on Wademaya's channel, it looked like yeah, he's got it on lock. Everything is good. She says I got order, and it looked like he had permanently moved back home. Like he wasn't gonna go back to UK or Chichichi. So yeah, that was my take at that time.
I have to say, I was so excited. I remember watching him on Wodemaya and going to my friend who's from Uganda. We always talk about relocating together. And I was showing her that, look, this Zimbabwean guy has done it. After 21 years, he has
Mm-hmm.
relocated, and look at all these chickens and look at all these things he's doing, you know? And I could understand that there was not a lot on the ground because he had just relocated.
Yeah.
So those were our first impressions. And moving on to when he was featured on Kelvin Biriot's YouTube channel.
All right. Sorry to
Yes.
jump in here. One other thing I would like to tell you all from my own experiences, like I came here, I never intended to be here for 24 years. I came here and then I thought to myself, I'll be there, I'll raise some capital, I'll go back home, I'll buy a stand, and I'll look into getting married and stuff. And that was 99. Fast forward to 2024, I'm still around. And
We are still raising capital.
so
Yeah.
not a lot
Wow.
of people really come to these lands intending to stay this long. But for one reason or another, things don't just materialize the way you want them to.
I guess,
So you end up
before.
staying here for longer than.
Sorry to cut you
Yeah.
off. Sorry.
Yeah,
I
that's all
think
right. That's all right.
I
No,
think
let the conversation free flow. I think sometimes when we're so excited, we can talk over each other, but we'll try our best not to.
sorry.
Go ahead, Valerie.
So I would say, many people left obviously saying, "Hey, todzoka manje manje, don't want to taga mari." People had hopes and dreams. I don't go taga zvekutenga dzimba, set up businesses and whatever. Mune munhu anenge aine plan, but. And I am one of those people who left and said, yeah, okay, I'm going to be back in 5 years maximum, no matter what. And then as soon as I landed, I realized, I need to go back faster. I cannot be here longer than I had even planned. So I guess a lot of things happen in the diaspora that zvaunongostaziva uchibva kumba zvinozoita kuti tizogara makore ese aya. And the biggest factor is the finances that we come tichiti tichanosvika tichiwana. Tasvika tichiwana, it's a mirage, it's a facade. It's like it was there, but it's not there anymore. Like in Vrem Desert, yeah, it's a mirage. You get there and you find, hapana mvura, yeah, kumberi, and you keep going. So I would like to say for the newly relocated diasporians, ukasaita plan very fast. 20 years from now, I want to go back home.
Well, sorry, at the same time, I think it all depends on what you have left back home.
Yeah.
Some other people,
that's
they
true.
actually left a good life, thinking they will come here to a better life.
Right.
Unlike us, isusu takangobva nesuitcase uchibuda mumba mudhara,
Okay. Yeah.
I was 15 when I left Zimbabwe as well.
Wow.
And now I am almost 40. And this is when I'm actually now starting to plan the relocation back. So you're right. So many different things lead us to this place that we're at now. But the intention, we are going to go back.
For some,
Yeah,
not
for some,
all.
It's not for everyone. Relocating back home is not for everyone.
For sure.
Some other people, they are actually saying, kuya ndidzokere. Nezvavakaenda through, they will say.
Because some people don't want to go back because they actually don't have anything to go back with. Atori in a worse off position than before they left them. And they cannot face, humiliation in society. It's hard to take. Better ndite zvangu rombere muEurope kana tinongoita rombere muNorth America. And then others made it financially, and there is no reason for them to go back home. I'll live my good life. Yeah.
Yeah, the good life is now in the diaspora. But those threads of home keep sometimes pulling you.
Yeah.
When are you coming back? There's just something about going to Zimbabwe when you've been out of the country for so long. But going back to Mr. Makechemu, have I said it right?
Mr. Makechemu. Yes.
Going back to Mr. Makechemu, because this topic is something that can go on forever.
Yeah.
So 2 weeks ago, he was featured on Kelvin Biriot's YouTube channel, and he was explaining about so many different things. in the beginning, the title of the YouTube was "He Was Scammed," and I have to say, I was like, "Were you scammed?"
I didn't see that bit.
Yes. So on the thumbnail,
Yeah.
it says he was scammed.
Okay.
And then obviously the title of that episode is "He Failed Farming After Leaving UK for Zimbabwe."
Okay.
So for anyone who needs to go back and make reference to that video, you can go and find it on Kelvin Biriot's channel on YouTube. So guys, tichingotaura edu pachezvedu, discussing as we are, what lessons can we learn from this gentleman's relocation, Mr. Sebastian Makechemu, as people in the diaspora planning to relocate? So we want to draw out the lessons. We don't want to criticize him and say wow, but we want to just get some lessons that we can discuss.
Well, the lessons to draw from that, I think akataura ega kuti there were some few flaws to his plan, which include planning and research and macontractors aishandisa. But I think the biggest one to me was the way he did things. Like, I think Zimbabwe as it is, haisi nzvimbo yekungoti all of a sudden ndadzoka nyange wakabata mari yakawanda sei. Haisi nzvimbo yekungoti ndadzoka ndine mari, I can make it this and that. No. I think going back home, you should do it in stages. At least first prepare kwaunonosvikira, and then secondly, kana uchizenge wazosarudza business rako raunenge uchifunga kuti ndo rauchaita, kuritanga at a large scale like zvawakaita zviya zvekunotora huku 1000 I think unenge uchirana a big risk. Hazvisi zvinhu zvekuti zvinoitika usipo manje zviyazvo. Murimi wefoni kuzimbabwe vanokutorera mari wakatemba. And then I think try and be munhu anenge akati dzikamei. I think pakange paine patakaona yawadhimaya paipa inshona pane kunonzi usarove chikwe usati wabira rwizi, usarove chikwe usati wayasoyambuka rwizi. I watched that Wadimaya thing over and over again, and there is not a lot happening in that video. Chakazobuda pane Biriot. There were just some few structures, zvemapranga, and then on the other side unoona there are two guys varinge vari kungotobora tumuriwo 3 or 2 pasina zvekunge zviri kumbonyatsoitika chaizvo chaizvo. And you are saying kuti I've come home to do this. No, I think vakatanga vafara kuti ndazviita pasati pane chiri kunyatsoitika chaizvo chaizvo. I don't know how you see that one.
Well,
So I also think the same as you, Zurumi, because initially when we saw him on Wadomaya's video, I was like, oh, there's not much going on here, but his enthusiasm and the way he spoke and everything else, it really boosted me. I'm so hopeful this gentleman is going to do wonders. But unfortunately, when we saw him on Kelvin Biriot's episode, the same structures were still there. Apart from the veggies were no longer there and the chickens were no longer there. So that was a bit of a disappointment for me. But I don't know, retired procrastinator, what do you think?
I would say, it's a very brave thing that he did, especially as a man, because men, money, pride, and all that. Kuita come out again publicly and say, I failed. And I don't know about the being scammed part, because it was there were portions where the scamming was coming out, but I think in anyhow, chandakazonyatsodzidza changatagara chiri musubconscious mangu pachandakadza ndechekuti kana wafunga kuti uri kudzoka kumba uine business idea yako, aikonosvika uchitobva watoiita ipapo. you must live in the economy and experience the economy. At least give yourself 6 months. Kuti kumanyira kupi zvedu sekunonzi kukunaya handitauya zvachose tayazozorora and tinenge tine mari dzedu tiri kuhopa kuti all other things are sorted, like, you know, our pekugara and stuff like that. Saka wakausvika muZimbabwe uine pachishona inonzi, I don't know any other kind of word to say, but vavu, like, yes, nondri pano, you know, ndauya ndasvika ndoda vanadai. In the grand scheme of things, on paper it may look all right, Antitika, you've got the money, you've got the idea, you've got the land, Antitika. However, what you do not have, no street wisdom. You know, kuZimbabwe akutomboda dzungu, that's the word. Akutomboda, even if you have the money, right? You have the money.
Angariti beru pepe.
You know, you cannot. I just feel like he was so excited, and that excitement, Ajitika, plus the resources that he had, like the capital, he had the land, he had the excitement, he had the capital. Then obazeta diaspora mentality yekuti what can possibly go wrong? Vanhu vekuzima havana capital, that's the drawback. That's not the only drawback. You need to live in the economy. Give yourself time, like 6 months. Akazvipa 6 months handitika achivakirwa aripo, achikanyirwa zvidhina zvake aripo, minda ichitanga kugoborwa aripo. Everything for 6 months, you know, if you've got money, automonetsekane nekuwana ma-contractors. Zimbabwe labor is plenty. Plus, if he was there to do ma-control checks, handitika oti 6 months toda kuvaka zviri kuzvidapa, 6 months toda kugobera minda yedu iyi tobva taplanta crop yedu, 6 months ndiri kuda kuchererwa mugodhi waaitaura, handitika. So if he had given himself time to settle down, akata hold on to mari yake achita zvo zvake bit by bit, I would feel kuti zvoni, even if he had failed, because every business ine learning curve, hazvina basa kuti uri chii kana kuti uri ani une mari yakawanda sei, he would have lessened malosses aakaita. So ndinongoti kana ubva diaspora uri kutoenda kuZimbabwe and you've never been in Zim uchita business, umwenda kunovhizita 2 weeks wobva wasvika uchingoona, you don't have enough experience. You need yatinoti lived experience. Because the Zim that you left 20 years ago, best believe, is not the Zim that's there right now. Even if you left Zim 6 months ago, you cannot recognize that economy, even after 6 months. So I think, kakuita settle down, you know, I believe, and I could be wrong, but I think akasvipa 6 months kuti ndoda kuita zvo zvangu ndiripo, because zvekuudza munhu ari kuZimbabwe kuti kanya zvidhina anongoisa zvaari kuita achikubira. I mean, time and again we've heard about kubirwa usipo, you know.
Unogona kubirwa uripo. Vanhu chavasinganzwisise manje kana vachienda kuZimbabwe ka, I think zvavakaita zviya handisi kuti pamwe ndo zvavanenge vainazvo zvese zvekuti vanofamba vane discovery nechichi. Kana uchida kunyatsodhila nevanhu vari kuZimbabwe uchinyatsochadywa maprice chaiwo ka, chaunofanira kuziva uchipinda muZimbabwe, munhu wese ane price yake. Pane price yemunhu webhasikoro, pane munhu price wemunhu wered machine, pane price yemunhu werange rover. Saka the way you portray yourself uchisvika munzvimbo ka, inotokupa price yako wega, zvekuti kunyange ukasvika uine mari yakawanda seka unogona kufuma mangwana usina, otofunga kuti wabirwa because ndozvazviri.
You are now the price. Even though what over table.
iroro iwe randakamaka rekuti vanhu vakawanda vakambodhila nini strega vakangoti murungu ka, I'll move on to the next person. Handiti murungu, saida kuti ndonzi tindo kana kuti zuruvi kana kuti whatever, but ndakutofamba ndakutenda, aunozoona vachidzoka futi. And then
our employer
azvidaro ukangozvibvumidza kupiwa title iyoyo wanyura. Ndi unonyura. Ukangoitora title iyoyo chete ukaiimbresa chete unonyura.
But inini guys, when I heard him saying kuti everything I had learned from YouTube, for me that was game over. I was like, the school of YouTube is great, but it's not enough. Yeah, right.
Mhm.
That streetwiseness was not coming across, but also just saying kuti I learned everything from YouTube. Ndosaka akazopiwa tuukwana tusiritu. Akati kufidha chikafu chisiricho. You understand? Like, I think we also need to appreciate kuti we are going and doing things that maybe some of us have never done. Like from a
Yeah.
desk job and his white collar job, he's going and he's doing farming just because he asked some people in a YouTube group kuti chi chiri kuitisa mari kuZimbabwe.
There's this other clip yandinoona achifidha huku anonokora chikafu so achita chikumwaya andakangoona kuti apa pamamwairo ari kuitwa apa chikafu chehuku achinzaru nedzimwe nguva chinotofanira kugedywa, chinofanira kuyerwa nekumikisa nemaproportions yacho. Pamwe chinenge changa chamixwa hacho but ukafidhira huku mufidho uyaya unonyura futi.
I
Zvakawanda
actually think,
zvandaiona hangu but
sorry, I think with a leg, right? Yeah, network.
okay, tiri kukunzwai chaizvo.
Oh, okay.
That's okay. When you start speaking, just continue because this would naturally just sort of stop as well.
Okay, all right. Well, so in India, I think as my diasporans are really looking to go back home, we also have to get rid of that savior mentality. Zvana aiwa vanhu vanotoda mabasa ndobva ndapa vanhu mabasa ndobva ndaita sei hakuna zvinhu zvakadaro because vanhu vari paground ka ivo vari kutokuona semurungu zvatambotaura akutoona sebank kuti they're looking for the quickest buck, so they will tell you kukanya zvidhina ndogona, kuchera mugodhi ndogona, kuvaka ndogona. They can literally tell you they'll do everything. So ndakatarisa pepa ya ndoona kuti paplanning level zvambotaura namaizuru izvo kuti zvinhu zvauda kuita izvo wakazozviriseta kusvika papi, wakazoita ongororo netsvakidzo kusvika papi. For example, pane issue iyoyo I was like naimi ko zvekufamba sei because pakanzi pakacherwa mugodhi waida kushandiswa for irrigation purposes. I know kuti people will say hey tinoisa pump mumvura mumugodhi and stuff, but ansati nambona horticulture or plot rinodiridzwa nemugodhi. And then muklip ra Kelvin, he says something like, oh chibage achina kuita, but if we had water tingadai takaita irrigation. Rightfully so. If they had bore water, infinite supply, is it automated something kuti takutongoti tikabatidza tepu takuto mvura yedu yakurana mumapipes and whatever. But the idea that you want to go into agriculture and you have no water or une water yatiri kuti tsime handitika ndomugodhi, ndakaona nge planning ipapo, or I don't know if it's lack of planning or it's lack of knowledge or it's both. Cannot he was ill-advised, I don't know, but as a person ari kuda kuita zvinhu zvekuzimbabwe panodaitwa ongororo yakawandisa nekusvika paground zvatambotaura kuti if you give yourself 6 months, Zimbabwe is so small. Unenge watenderera kune mafamers ari freely giving people information, wanoona munhu ane setup senge uri kuda, and then you get ideas from there kuti okay ava vari paground vakatoimplementa zvakati vakaita zvakati nezvakati according to my budget. Maybe for now, and then as we start making money, we can move to this. So with that in mind, I just feel good to Augustine, like, I don't know, obviously he's now correcting those mistakes, but pamgodi, pa horticulture,
koka kuzodzokera manje ku-UK for 3 months up. Because he went back to the UK for 3 months, and I've seen people who relocate who do this quite a lot. They relocate, but they continue to come back and dip in, dip out. I think sometimes you are running the risk, Kuti, you will find your operations not operating quite well if you also do that.
Munogona kuti he is now working on his mistakes, but then at the same time anogona kunge atoripo pakudzokorora the same mistakes.
Well, we don't know because we're
don't know
hoping
about
we'll
that
see
one.
him again.
We
We're
don't
hoping
know
he's
about-
correcting them because he's learned.
Yeah. Izvozvo zvekuti kana wati wakuenda kumusha wasvika woseta up business, I think you said he lost something like 40,000. I don't know if it's 40,000 US or 40,000 pounds, but regardless that's a lot of money. Unenge watoseva
40,000
zvakaseva zvese
is a
handiti
lot of money.
saka yeah,
40 is a
iye
lot of money.
aseva mari yake over risker like that for me is like wow, you know. I know people vamwe tine risk taking yakasiyana malevels, but that was a lot of risking that happened. For example, zvidhina zvacho zvakakanyiwa seusipo, you know. Ini ndakambovaka Chirugu and my dad was on site on a daily. Handitika nemanheva zvakatokanyirwa pamusha pedu handitika. So ndenguvabvunza kuti ko mune muchiitei, you know, vanhu vari kungokanya zvinhu zvakanzi no zvidhina zvinofanira kukanyiwa utoripo, and zvidhina zvezve zvanga zviri like crumbly, like soft as I don't know handitika, which means quality check hainotombogara yaitwa pafirst batch because he was not there handitika. Then mudhuri unonzi unodonha wavakwa simply means you contracted the wrong person to do the job because you were not there. And then iye kupinda in and out of Zim, iwe waisa mari, you know, you've got money on the line. These are your savings that you've worked for so many years handitika. Wobva waenda entrusting someone with your life because that money upenyu. That one for me is a no. Kana watu wakwenda kumba, best believe you're going to be home you're going to be rooted at least for a year. So zvako. And if you have to leave for 3 months, handizive kuti ungaite sei, but a small business changotanga is like a small baby, like an infant. Hatingagona kutosiyira chero baba vacho mwana achiri kuyamwa like that, you know. We can't do that. We can't do that. As a mom, apa ndikutaura figuratively, sefananidzo, unofanira unge uripo semuridzi wechimwana ichi kusvika chakukambaira kana chakufamba, now you can do whatever you need to do. Saka I think kana waisa mari yakawanda kudaroka, gara panzvimbo, garisika ititende chaiko kuti ayo ndiri panapa kusvika mwana wangu akufamba chachigondora chakuzvitungira, then UK inenge ingoriko. Nyange ari pressing issues, nothing is as urgent as leaving 40,000 behind in the hands of strangers that didn't work for that money.
I think kuva neoption yekuti ndinogona kumbozvisiya njimbodzoka ka zvinokanganisa. Kana uchinge watanga izvozvo ka itombogara as if you don't have an option, as if this is everything, kuti zvikafoira and then what. Kunyange da wanga uine dzimwe mari ka kana kutombodziturika, kutombodzisiya somewhere, wombochovha neiripo. But at the same time handizivi kuti 40 yakaiswa mubusiness mese here, because kana uine 40 kudhara, what else are you expecting? Vakadii kutanga nembichana kuti tizoona kuti tinogona kusvika here kunana 40 ikoko. Handizivi kuti yaiincluda kutenga land here.
Well, remember he said kuti I underestimated how much I will need to raise the chicken, and the chickens eat a lot, and he didn't have a market. So he was basically just pumping in money into the business and nothing was coming out. And he started with a large number of chickens, a lot. Exactly. So that's another thing. I agree with what retired procrastinator is saying. Kuti, go home, chimbowongorora, see what is on the ground, see how people are moving. And today I listened to one of your videos where you were talking about understand what is important, understand how the economy is functioning. Are you going to go home and do things in the market of what people need? What are their basic necessities? Because vari kurarama sevanhu vari muma austerity measures. Or are you going to go there and start asking, where can I buy engines in Dubai? And you don't even have a market. Because the truth is...
market ndopatodzoka pamataura pepa kuti ana uzinge aita ongororo netsvakiritso dzakakwana, because we all know huku hadzingamborekedze kutengwa, you know, hazviiteka kuti huku dzisatengwe, muriwo usatengwe and stuff, but where are you selling? And land yavo relocated in prime area, very close to major cities, very close to a lot of other smaller cities. So the market is there, but kana usina street wisdom iya manje yekuziva kuti naimi ndotengesera ani, or ivo kuti mabuyers akuwane, that networking as well yatinonida, because we've lost ties kana tayabuda handitika zvinhu zvaiitika 6 years ago hakusisina. I now need to meet new people handitika venture into manetworks evanhu vari kurima ivavo nzwisisa zvinhu zviri kuitika. I feel sorry for him because 40,000 mudiaspora haisi small change at all. Like it takes a lot kuti uluze mari iyoyo and get up again and say all right ndaakutangidza, and hopefully this time anomhanya nacho zvakasimba semunhu ambodzidza. You know, $40,000 lesson is not even cheap.
Yeah, iyo networking inodiwa because I think ipapa anogona kunge asingatoziva mumwe munhu aitsvaga huku. Varipo vamwe vanosupply masupermarket but vanenge vakatoshoterwa vachitsvaga kuti ndiani mumwe munhu andinganotsvaga ane huku. Kana uchiziva vanhu vakadaro, kana uine network yakasimba, ngatiti ndiwe une contract yekusupply supermarket, dzikaperera iwewe unonotsvagawo kune mamwe mafarmers. But I think vakange vasina kunge vakazviadvertisa zvakakwana futi Mr. Makechemu. Because unogona kuita product but kana usina zvekuzoita neproduct yacho hapana zvatiri kuita.
I think vakaita inonzi failure to launch here kuti I'm there but then I failed to launch. So we're hoping that he, you know, he does well second time round, because failing is part of life. This is how we learn, but it's just a painful and a very expensive way that he has learned. But I wanted to go back to that savior mentality, because that is something I criticized him for. Kuti people in the diaspora, we go back to Zimbabwe with this thinking, kuti we are going to change lives, we're going to create jobs, and we are going to do things for people, when actually we don't know what people on the ground want, or the people in that community that you are entering into. How can we avoid this type of mentality, guys?
It's just a political statement. Yeah, kutaura kuti job creation. I think inini from experience, kana ndine vanhu vandoda kuti vanditelegraft, kana vachigona kungopedzerana nevanhu ivavo and then we move on. Kana ndichizokwanisawo kuvapo vamwe vanhu kuti akomana pane munhu anogona basa zvine track record, ndinogona kuvapo. Izvo amenge zvichitaurwa my sister from the other side, kuti munhu wese ari kuzimbabwe iko zvine zvanoti zvese ndinogona. Maizuru has got an experience, takaita vanhu vakatigadzirira madrows sina kuzonyatsobuda. Tatombosvika paworkshop pavaiti ndepavo vanhu vese vanogona anything and everything. So I think kungodhila nemunhu wako wauina yeye nekuenderera kumberi. Zvekuzoda kusevha community yese kuti daita create majobs haini kwandiri hazvisenze. Ndosenza nevashoma ivavo vandoziva kuti vane zvinofamba.
I think maybe it depends with the community chakaita sei, but kana uri kupinda mucommunity like yavo peri-urban or rural setup, handitika tinoda kugarisana nekuwadzana nevamwe zvakanaka, but hazvireve kuti vanhu ivavo vanofanira kunge vari part of our journey, especially when money is involved. Kunyanyanya kana uriwe uri kubuditsa mari. For example, akanga aine vanhu vakasara vachiita basa. My understanding was those people were from the community. Vashandi vepa plaza apa, handitika, or plots. And anga asipo, handitika, because we contractor one from the community. One, uyayo kuchera well didn't do anything, like haana kuita zvaanga akapiwa mari kuti aite, handitika, amba achadwa 500 tichida tasatega kuti mugodhi unoita mari kuchera ka, and mari akabhadhara akatodyirwa mari nevanhu vemucommunity. Already vanhu vemucommunity havasitombokuona kuti uri kucreate a job for them, uri kuvapa income. Vari kukuona iwewo sekuti iri ndo next due rangu, ndo sheti rangu, ndikangodya apa next, you know, kind of thing. So he got ipapo he was scammed, but also primarily ndingangoti nekuti anga asipo, so anga asiri there to see kuti wachera mameters mangani, mvura yabatwa papi, then uyavakirirwa zvakanaka here as per agreement. But the amount in itself 500 kuchera mugodhi, is to kuti bore right now is 1,200. You can get a borehole 30 meters deep for 1,200 from out 900, but wakacherwa mugodi 500. You get it. Saka community iyi ke inoda kubata nemuswe kudai because they will use you. They will use you because to them you're a walking dollar sign. And the fact that people want to forget nagatalva UK vatokuona kuti mbinga yedu yauya, you know. So community iyi inoda kuita deal with at arm's length. Munhu bring your expertise. If usina hapana, you can be my buyer handiti weproducts dzangu. Other than that, you can get experienced personnel from outside of the community, and that's still okay. Hazvina kana basi. That's what I did.
Well, I think we've discussed a lot, guys. And for now, I think we're going to end this discussion here because we have brought out and picked on a lot of things that we are hoping we can follow on with another discussion. Because I think we have a lot of things to say about Mr. Augustine's experience. So I just want to thank you so much for giving us your time, retired procrastinator. And again, where did you say people can follow you and get to hear more of your thoughts and your advice and your experiences?
Oh, thank you so much for hosting me or for having me on your podcast. So the name No Retired Procrastinator on TikTok, on Facebook, as well as on YouTube. So yeah, I'm on those 3 platforms for now. And anenge achida kunditsvaka anongondiwana mostly on Facebook and TikTok. Hey, retired, you know what the retired procrastinator, not the kumberi, so it's just retired procrastinator.
Okay, that's so awesome. Like I said, thank you so much for your time. And for us, this is our first episode, guys, and we are Threads of Home podcast. Mr. Maizrui and Zrui. And you can find us on our YouTube channel where we share our journey of relocating called the Tandy's Living the Good Life. So we will catch you in the next episode. And thank you for following and tuning in. Bye.
Ciao.
Oh, well